completely throw out our entire justice system because you don't want to be fair and impartial.
That's basic law. It's been basic law in this country. I have no idea why you would do something like that.
You stabbed until he was dead.
Shut your mouth, and I'll tell you when you could talk. You got it?
You're going to spend the rest of your natural life in prison. Hopefully someday you'll think about that. Get him out of here. I'm done.
Bad attitude. You had a bad attitude last time you were in court. One more word out of you, it'll be a year of counting. You were relentless. You stabbed until he was dead.
This is 30-year-old Camia Gamet, who was facing charges of open murder in Jackson, Mississippi.
This is one of the worst cold-blooded murders I've seen in a long time.
In May 2013, Gamet allegedly stabbed and murdered her boyfriend, 38-year-old Marcel Hill, in a brutal manner at their home in Lansing Avenue. Hill was reportedly stabbed 12 times and had his skull caved in with an iron pan. During trial, the jury was presented with a mountain of evidence against Gamet and eventually convicted her of first-degree murder. At her sentencing, Gamet was given a chance to apologize by Judge John McBain, but instead, she chose to plead her defense.
Is there anything that you want to tell the court before I impose sentence? Is there anything you want to tell the victim's family who are here today?
I just want to say that I stick by the truth, which is that I did react in self-defense. I did love Marcel. Basically at trial, the way I was portrayed, mostly everything was lies. There was a little bit of truth, but mostly I was convicted off of lies.
However, Judge McBain was not buying it.
Anything you want to tell the court about the 12 stab wounds that you did in self-defense?
The alleged 12 stab wounds?
Well, I don't think the pathologist lied about those.
No, I don't have anything further to say.
Gamet also showed no remorse when the victim's aunt, Diana Banks Joyner, took the stand.
So we, the family of Marcel, would like to thank God for the special gift that you will receive today from the judge.
Is that it?
When I finish, I'll let you know.
Oh, okay. Seriously?
And the judge was having none of it.
Just talk again. I'll have my court officer put a piece of duct tape in your mouth. You understand it? Try it one more time and see what happens to your mouth. You got something else to say?
He warned Gamet of having her mouth shut with duct tape, but the defiant defendant continued to argue.
I'm done.
Miss Sonia, get the duct tape.
I'll sit here and listen to the lies.
You know what? She's got a right to talk to the court after you murdered a relative of hers. And you're going to shut your mouth or I'm going to have some duct tape put on it.
Well, he attacked me.
We'll wait here for a moment till we can get her quiet.
Then it was the prosecutor who ripped into Gamet.
We have no choice but to send her where she will also die. I can't believe she stands before you doing this morning.
Before imposing sentence, it was Judge McBain who had the last words.
This is one of the worst cold-blooded murders I've seen in a long time. You end up ultimately hit him in the head so hard with a pan that you actually cave in the front of his skull, and then you stabbed him no less than 12 times. You gutted him like a fish in that apartment too. You were relentless. You stabbed until he was dead. I agree with the family. I hope you die in prison as well. You know, if this was a death penalty state, you'd be getting the chair.
With that explosive ending, Camia Gamet was ultimately sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole. While a judge condemned the defendant to die in prison, what happens when a defender shows up with an obscene username?
What kind of logs into court like that?
Next, we head to the district court in Centerville, Michigan, where Judge Jeffrey Middleton is holding virtual court.
All right, good morning, everyone. We've got everybody with a name. You're all here in a timely manner.
Next on the docket is 30-year-old Nathaniel Saxaon, who was appearing on charges of drug paraphernalia. A few days ago, police found a syringe with traces of methamphetamine in Saxaon's truck during a traffic stop. Now in court, Saxaon was facing a possible 90-day prison sentence along with a hefty fine. However, the moment Saxaon logged in, Judge Middleton noticed something odd with the defendant's screen name.
Good morning, sir. What's your name?
Me?
Yeah, you. Yes.
Nathaniel Saxaon, sir.
Your name's not Buttfucker3000, you yo-ho. Logging into my court with that as your screen name.
Why
We'll
would that?
discuss that in a little bit. What kind of idiot logs into court like that?
Judge Middleton was not at all impressed, while Saxton sat there with a confused look on his face.
What's your name again?
Nathaniel Saxaon, sir, but I don't believe that I typed anything like that in.
Well, that's what it says.
Saxton quickly fixed his username, but the damage had already been done.
Why,
We'll
I
discuss that in a
apologize.
bit.
That should not
Yeah,
be.
you should. I'll put you in the waiting room. You can sit in limbo for a while and think about what you call yourself online.
A few minutes later, when Saxton was allowed back in, he made a sheepish attempt to explain the username mystery.
Your Honor.
Yes?
If I may explain, my sister was the one that set up my Zoom account or whatever. But is my iPhone pairing name for my Bluetooth speaker, sir. It's an inside joke. It's not what you think. I'm embarrassed. I'm sorry.
Well, you should be. All right, we'll come back to you in a bit.
Nathaniel Saxton later pleaded guilty to possession of drug paraphernalia and agreed to pay a fine. He faced no additional charges for his graphic choice of alias. While a defendant landed in hot water for not double-checking his username, what happens when a prosecutor tries to outsmart the judge?
That's basic law. It's been basic law in this country for 40 years, 50 years. I have no idea why you would do something like that.
This is Kyle Rittenhouse, a teenager who was accused of shooting multiple people in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
I feel I had to protect myself. I would have died that night if I didn't.
On August 25th, 2020, Rittenhouse was among a group of armed civilians who were protecting local businesses during citywide protests following the police shooting of Jacob Blake.
People are getting injured, and our job is to protect this business, and part of my job is to also help people. If there's somebody hurt, I'm running into harm's way.
However, some of the protesters became violent and started chasing Rittenhouse. One even tried to grab his gun. The 17-year-old ended up fatally shooting two men and injuring another, who had pointed a firearm at him. Rittenhouse immediately surrendered. He faced charges of murder, attempted murder, and weapons charges. The trial grabbed plenty of media coverage, but it was trial judge Bruce Schroeder who kept making headlines. Judge Schroeder even accused a news channel of jury tampering and banned them from covering the trial.
I have instructed that no one from MSNBC News will be permitted in this building for the duration of this trial.
But nothing got more attention than Judge Schroeder's back and forth with lead prosecutor Thomas Binger.
I had heard nothing in this trial to change any of my rulings. So why?
Testimony, Your Honor.
Pardon me?
That was before the defense
Don't
testimony.
get brazen with me.
It all started during cross-examination when Binger tried to create an impression of guilt before the jury by holding Rittenhouse's right to remain silent against him.
You have also sat here through 8 days of trial, correct?
Yes.
And you've had the opportunity to watch all of the videos that have been played in this trial?
Yes.
Sir, if you could please let me finish my question.
Yes.
You have also had the opportunity to listen to the testimony of all 30-some witnesses that have testified in this trial so far, correct?
Yes.
And after all of that, now you are telling us your side of the story, correct?
Correct.
I'm going to ask you folks to go in the library for just a second. Please don't talk about the case.
Judge Schroeder sent the jurors out of the courtroom and reprimanded Binger for violating the defendant's constitutional rights.
The problem is, this is a grave constitutional violation for you to talk about the defendant's silence. And that is, and you're right on the borderline, and you may be over, but it better stop.
Understood.
Later, as the questioning continued, Binger referred to an old video in which Rittenhouse had talked about wanting to shoot shoplifters.
You'd agree with me that you can't use deadly force to stop someone from lighting a metal dumpster on fire, correct?
Correct.
You'd agree with me that you can't use deadly force to stop someone from tipping over a porta potty, correct?
Correct.
You'd agree with me that you can't use deadly force to stop someone from lighting a flatbed trailer on fire, correct?
Correct.
However, the defense was having none of it.
Your Honor, Mr. Binger is either forgetting the court's rulings or attempting to provoke a mistrial in this matter. He knows he can't go into this, and he's asking the questions. I asked the court to strongly admonish him, and the next time it happens, I'll be asking for a mistrial with prejudice.
The problem was Judge Schroeder had already made a ruling that the video could not be used as evidence in this case.
This was the subject of a motion. I'm well aware of that. And the court left the door open.
For me, not for you.
My understanding of
You should have come and asked for reconsideration. You did on the one motion, and in fact, I granted your motion for reconsideration, or I indicated a bias towards denial is what I did. Held it open with a bias towards denial. Why would you think that that made it okay for you, without any advance notice, to bring this matter before the jury? I was astonished when you began your examination by commenting on the defendant's post-arrest silence. That's basic law. It's been basic law in this country for 40 years, 50 years. I have no idea why you would do something like that.
When Binger kept pushing his argument, Judge Schroeder finally lost his patience.
So why?
Testimony, Your Honor.
Pardon me?
That was before the defense
Don't
testimony.
get brazen with me. You know very well that an attorney can't go into these types of areas when the judge has already ruled without asking outside the presence of the jury to do so. So don't give me that. I said it couldn't come in, and it isn't coming in. No matter what you think.
After Binger rested his case, the jury ultimately acquitted Rittenhouse of all charges, and his case was dismissed.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty.
Members of the jury, are these your unanimous verdicts?
While a prosecutor failed to deceive the judge, how does it compare to getting your mouth shut with duct tape? Like in the case of Franklyn Williams, who was facing multiple theft charges in Cleveland, Ohio.
No justice. It's not a fair trial. It wasn't in trial. I'm not being allowed to speak how I need to speak. He's stopping me from talking. He's gagging me, putting tape over my mouth at this moment.
According to reports, Williams committed a series of armed robberies in 2014. He then led state troopers on a high-speed chase, which resulted in the injury of an officer. Williams was charged with aggravated robbery, kidnapping, and unlawful possession. He initially pled guilty, but later withdrew his plea and fled the state. Williams was eventually caught and later claimed that he didn't flee, but rather lost his memory after an accident and forgot about the trial. Then, at his sentencing, Williams interrupted the proceedings over 60 times in 54 minutes, despite repeated warnings from Judge John Russo.
I just met this attorney the other day. That's fine. So here, I came and took my cell phones yesterday, and they came and took all my property out my cell today.
Mr. Williams, I'm the judge in the matter. Shut your mouth, and I'll tell you when you can talk. You got it? It's the same rules we played by while we were here in trial, every time we were here for a pretrial. So just follow the same rules. Fair enough? So at this point, I'm going to hear from your lawyers, and that means zip it.
But you're not letting me
That means
what's going on.
Zip it right now.
You trying to...
Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't.
Does the comment, quit talking, do you understand that?
Because you're trying to take my life.
No.
And you're not letting me tell you what's going on.
Take your life for what? What do you mean
It's not fair. You're trying to take my life.
What does that mean? Listen to me. If we have to, I will gag you in 1 second. So listen, you will get a chance to talk.
Why don't you let it play about me getting shackled on the bus for a whole week? Let that play.
Mr. Williams will...
Mr. Williams, be very simple to gag you. You'll get a chance to speak. So tell me.
Black women just walked in here.
Okay,
so I have not been around.
Let's go back.
Years.
I'm zipping. Anything you want to add to your insanity? And the jury came back with the verdict.
That's a violation of the HIPAA law, Judge.
Here we go. I'm gonna tape it, and then I'll unzip it when I want you to talk, because the young lady over here can't take down everything. You know how this works. We've been in the courtroom at least 50 times as we prepared for trial.
Finally, the judge had had enough. He ordered court deputies to shut Williams up with duct tape.
Mr. Williams, I want to make it real clear. If you spit on, attempt to bite, or injure any of my deputies, you're going to have a bad day.
None of that.
Oh, you clear?
Take on me, man. We got this shit.
That's what it is.
We'll go back on the record. Mr. Williams will have a chance to speak.
And I'll be monitoring everything I say.
Go ahead.
How can I speak?
Judge Russo later apologized for his decision and recused himself from the case.
For gagging a defendant to keep order in the court. I apologize for taking that action last week.
In his next sentencing hearing, Williams took the stand to plead his case.
Saying freedom of speech, no duct tape. Your Honor, I ask today, Your Honor, that I receive the lightest sentence that you can give me. I want the world to know I am not an animal. Contrary to what people may think, I am a man.
But given Williams' already long record before this particular crime, the judge sentenced him to 33 years in prison.
I know you're not an animal, Mr. Williams, you're a human being, but the question the court has to determine is whether or not you've learned from those mistakes.
Before Williams left, he had some final words for the court.
Freedom of speech, no duct tape. Okay. Freedom of speech, no duct tape. With the hashtag.
While getting his mouth taped up couldn't stop a defendant's defiance, what happens when a judge has to physically restrain a convict?
You want to go for a year? Try it right now. One more word out of you, it'll be a year of counting.
Over Facebook.
Like in the case of Jacob Larson, who was in a Jackson County court for violating a personal protection order.
You got a bad attitude. You had a bad attitude last time you were in court.
Judge John McBain, known for his no-nonsense conduct, presided over the hearing. A year ago, Judge McBain had signed off on a personal protection order after Larson was accused of stalking a classmate.
You're out there hanging out at her place of employment. You're putting things all over her car. Her managers have got to come in there and ask you to leave.
The terrified victim appeared in court and narrated her ordeal.
I don't even know him, so I just don't understand how he's like so obsessed and like keeps messaging me. I have messages from October 9th after we got out of court, and then I have some from the 23rd.
However, Larson blamed the woman for his actions.
She's instigating it though.
Why do you feel that she's instigating?
Because she's posting pictures and whatnot, directed to me. A lot of makeup, hair done, all that stuff. Like, she's, subtweeting me and whatnot on Twitter.
Is that true?
I don't have him on Facebook. I don't have him on Twitter. I have him on no social media whatsoever. My Twitter's private.
Judge McBain reminded Larson of what happened when he previously appeared in his court.
That I warned you about last time. I told you to just leave her alone. She was a classmate of yours. She apparently has no interest in seeing.
I want her to tell me to leave her alone.
You know what? I told you to leave her alone. And apparently that didn't get through loud and clear. So today, you're going to jail for 3 days.
The defendant then made a ridiculous claim.
You and her are all.
You know what?
This is when Judge McBain became irate.
You got a bad attitude. You had a bad attitude last time you were in court.
You and her are buddy.
45 days county jail. Okay. 93 days in the county jail. You want to go for a year? Try it right now. One more word out of you, it'll be a year of counting.
Over Facebook. Hey, bro.
93 days in count.
I ain't never threatened.
Stand up. Cuff them. Stand up. Yeah.
Buddy more.
Stand up. You're going to jail for a year in the county. 365 days county jail.
Can't do it.
Appealing.
After learning his fate, Larson resisted arrest and made an aggressive move towards the victim.
Put your hands behind your back.
I'm gonna leave you alone. I'm gonna leave you alone. Tell me right now.
Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back.
Judge McBain sprang into action.
Tase his ass right now.
As Larson got into a scuffle with a deputy, the judge removed his black robe and decided to help out.
Put it down. That's enough for you. All right? Get your tase. Fuck it off.
Even though Judge McBain initially went up to a year in the heat of the moment, once everything calmed down, Larson was sentenced to 93 days in prison.
Tell me to leave you alone. Tell me to leave you alone.
While a defendant got extra jail time for refusing to cooperate, how does it compare to swearing at a judge?
He's got mental problems. He's not on medication.
Ma'am, I don't care.
I don't give a fuck. No, stop. Fuck everybody.
Like in the case of Milton Watts, who was making a court appearance in Berea, Ohio, failing to appear on a domestic violence charge. Things went off to a rough start when Judge Chris Green asked Watts the reason for missing his court date.
You were supposed to be here last month. You did not appear. Why weren't you here?
I had work. My mom didn't show up. Somebody died in the family. There was no reason for me to be here.
Well, it's not an engraved invitation, son. It's a court order.
Judge Green initially showed some leniency. He asked Watts to hire a new lawyer since the previous one had withdrawn from the case, but the 21-year-old continued with his smug attitude.
I'm resetting it then for you. Your attorney withdrew, so you'll have to hire an attorney.
I don't need an attorney.
You're a lawyer?
Nope.
You want to talk about me at bond with me? What do you want to tell me?
About what?
Bond?
Don't really give a fuck, to be honest with you.
Finally, Judge Green lost his patience and charged Watts with contempt of court.
That's going to cost you 30 days in the county jail for contempt. Cuff him, if you got the cuffs. Hold on, it's $5,000 cash surety bond, temporary, subject to the temporary protection order.
As the judge read out the charges, Watts started throwing a tantrum. Judge Green tried to give some counsel, but Watts had other ideas.
Can I give you a piece of advice?
What?
You can either make life easy or you can make life hard.
Fuck it. I already ruined my life.
That's 60. You want to go for 90?
He continued his rant as Judge Green kept on adding to the charges.
Fuck it.
That's 90 more.
Fuck it. Fuck it.
Fuck it.
That's 180.
Fuck it.
That's 306.
Fucking, I'm working at McDonald's. Now I gotta fucking come here and fuck my life up. Fuck you.
Melvin, stop.
How many days you wanna give me now? Are you sir counting, bitch?
Melvin,
Yeah, I'm at about a year right now in contempt.
Watts' family members tried to intervene, but there was no stopping the foul-mouthed defendant.
Fuck you.
Melvin,
Fuck the power.
Good.
Fuck the power.
Good.
You fucking bitch.
that's stupid. Melvin, stop. Stop it. You're not even getting in trouble.
Fuck this
Melvin, Melvin, listen. You're going.
Who the fuck is he telling me fucking anything?
Finally, backup arrived.
Just let him do whatever he wants to do. Melvin. You don't want to listen. That's ignorant. That's the way he is.
Court deputies took Watts away as his family looked on with disappointment. Even though Judge Green initially went up to 365 days in the heat of the moment, once everything calmed down, Watts was sentenced to 90 days in prison. While Milton Watts will spend less time in prison than he bargained for, what happens when a convict tries to escape from the courtroom?
I'm not sure. It's not my cell phone.
Whose cell phone is it?
It's my brother's.
Then why didn't you tell them that? I need him handcuffed, please.
Like in the case of William Demopoulos, who was at the Berea Municipal Court in Ohio for violating his probation. According to reports, Demopoulos was out on probation for charges of criminal damage, unauthorized use of a vehicle, and obstructing justice. Today, the 18-year-old was facing Judge Chris Green, who was known for his strict demeanor.
An officer tells you to do something, well, you do it. What did I just get through telling you? You do what you're told to do, when you're told to do it, how you're told to do it. Give me that phone.
Trouble started when Judge Green asked Demopoulos to hand over his phone, a request which he did not take kindly.
He took it all. What's in that phone you don't want us to find?
Nothing. I just didn't see no need for you guys to confiscate my phone and go through it. I mean.
And you play by this. As I told you, you play by your rules. You don't want to play by anybody else's rules. So, my friend, you know what? I don't think I'm letting you schedule that 10 days today. I think you're going today.
After reluctantly handing over his phone, the teen tried to walk out of the court. leading to a stern rebuke by Judge Green.
Now, come here. For the rest of your probation. Come here.
Go back to work. Wait. No, man, this is not right, man. I'm telling you, this is not right. This system is so messed up.
Stand there. If you're going to act up, give me an officer. Give me an officer from next door.
Please, Honor. Please.
No. I'm right now thinking about charging you with resistance.
Please, it doesn't have to be like this, Your Honor.
Stand there and stand like a man.
I can't do it. I'm sorry, I can't do it.
Then you're going to go to jail today.
The judge then gave the ignorant defendant a lesson in the rules of probation.
What did we talk about with regard to following the rules? What did we talk about?
To follow them.
What did I tell you about probation?
Give me 1 year and
No.
do everything that they tell me to do.
And they told you to give him the phone.
I don't know why.
Because when you are on probation, your probation officer has a right to take anything they want to take of yours. If they want to search your phone, they search your phone. They want to search your house, they search your house. They want to search your car, they search your car.
However, Demopoulos attempted to change his story.
I'm not true. It's not my cell phone.
Whose cell phone is it?
It's my brother's.
Then why didn't you tell them that? I need him handcuffed, please.
This is when things took a wild turn. With one giant leap, Demopoulos climbed over the table and headed for the exit before being quickly tackled by the deputies.
Hey, stop resisting. Why you gotta be like this, man?
You're going on 60 days for contempt if you're not careful on these files. That's 60 on top of the 30. You want to go for 90?
The defendant's grandfather, who saw the entire thing unfolding, finally stepped in.
Why you resisting? Why you making nothing has to happen, man.
If you want, I did today.
You're that man with the gun, you.
The instruction.
You want to happen? Nothing has to happen, man.
Please stop the
Stop it.
But why though, man?
Stop resisting.
Why ruin my fucking life like this, man? Just give him a fucking cell phone number. Why though, man? Why do you do this, man? Why does it have to be like this, man? Really?
It's like this because you make it like this.
After Demopoulos was hauled away, his grandfather offered an explanation and apologized to the court.
Sorry. Here's a problem. I know there's a problem.
The problem is I can't have someone on probation if they won't listen to their probation officer.
Ultimately, Judge Green revoked Demopoulos' probation and charged him with resisting arrest. He was sentenced to 40 days in prison. While a defendant tried to escape twice and ultimately ended up in prison, what happens when a judge challenges a lawyer to a fight?
If you want to fight, let's go out back and I'll just beat your ass.
Next, we go to the Moore Justice Center in Brevard County, Florida, where public defender Andrew Weinstock and his client are appearing before Judge John Murphy.
You're Mr. Runkles?
Yes, sir.
2 charges, assault and resisting. You have the public defender. Public defender, what do you want to do?
Have they filed?
They have.
I'm not waiving.
Since the court already had a packed schedule, Judge Murphy wanted the defendant to waive his right to a fast trial.
All right, what do you want to do?
What do you want to do? I'm not waiving. If you want to set it for trial, set it for trial.
All right.
If you want to set it for docket sounding, set it for docket sounding. I'm not waiving in any case.
Tensions in the courtroom reached an all-time high when public defender Weinstock refused to budge.
This is an emergency
if I
created by
had a
the
rock,
state.
I would throw it at you right now.
This
Stop pissing me off. Just sit down. I'll take care of it. I don't need your help.
No,
sit
you know
down.
what? I'm the public defender. I have a right to be here, and I have a right to stand
I said
and represent
sit
my
down.
clients.
See, moments earlier, Weinstock had a confrontation with Judge Murphy while representing another client.
This is Mr. Rodriguez, public defender. What do you want to do?
Docket sounding.
Tomorrow?
Your discretion.
Well, it's going to expire before I can get them in, so...
It's not my emergency.
Question. You want to set it for trial?
You can set it for trial if you want to set it for trial instead. Sure.
Well,
I'm not waiving. That's if the question is, am I waiving? The answer is, I'm not waiving.
Just say it.
Okay, I'm not waiving.
I don't care.
I don't care either.
I just need to set it for a date.
Well, normally we go to docket Tony after that. If you want to go to trial, we'll set up for trial. That's fine.
All right, speedy trial.
However, what Judge Murphy suggested next was never heard of in a courtroom before.
If you want to fight, let's go out back and I'll just beat your ass.
Incredibly, both Weinstock and Judge Murphy went to the back of the courtroom and actually had a physical altercation.
He backed me up. He had me pinned to the wall with his right arm. And he brought his left hand back in a fist. Then he punched me in the face, hitting me here.
After a while, Judge Murphy returned to the courtroom alone.
Thank you. Thank you, man. I don't care.
I'm a Patriots fan.
Man, I'm an old man.
Later, the incident was investigated by Florida's Judicial Qualifications Commission, and Judge Murphy was charged with misconduct. The case eventually reached the Supreme Court, which ordered Judge Murphy to be immediately suspended and permanently removed from his post. Weinstock later resigned from his position at the Public Defender's Office. While Judge John Murphy ruined his career by fighting a lawyer, how does it compare to threatening to kill a judge? Like in the case of 27-year-old Tobias Roman, who was facing multiple felony charges in Bakersfield, California.
Threatening with the intent to terrorize, exhibiting a deadly weapon other than a firearm, and stalking.
3 days earlier, Roman was arrested after he allegedly tried to rob a mall employee and threatened to kill her with a knife. Today, Roman was facing Judge Charles R. Bremer, and right off the bat, things went off to a rough start.
Roman, stand up.
My foot hurts. I can't stand up right now. But I'm right here.
Stand up, Roman.
What?
This is BF 140.
After the defendant was on his feet, Judge Bremer started proceedings.
Mr. Roman, what is your true and correct name?
Tobias, my first name. That's it. Giggles or Tobias. That's it. Don't call me nothing else.
At this time, I will appoint the public defender to represent Mr. Roman. The charges, Mr. Roman, are attempted robbery. Mr. Roman, you need to be quiet.
Yeah, you need to be quiet.
Judge Bremer gave Roman a final warning. The defiant defendant refused to budge.
You have one more chance, and then you're going to be removed from the courtroom. That'll be your choice.
Just don't talk. Go ahead.
All right. You need to leave.
As he was being removed from the courtroom, Roman had one final comment for the judge.
See? What do you want to see?
I'd like to note to the record Mr. Roman's statement on the record that he will murder me if he sees me, and I'm going to request law enforcement take the appropriate action.
Tobias Roman was later charged with threatening a public official and sentenced to 8 months in prison. While a defendant threatened to murder the judge, what happens when a defendant refuses to pull his pants up?
By removing your pants, it was extremely poor judgment.
Like in the case of 20-year-old Austin Boone, who was at a Kentucky courtroom to answer for charges of overspeeding and possession of drug paraphernalia.
Austin Boone, how do you plead to the speeding 22 over and a possession of drug paraphernalia on January 23rd?
For guidance, you told me you said guilty or not guilty.
Well, if you plead guilty, then I can give you the plea agreement that you made.
Yeah, whatever the agreement was.
Okay, the agreement was to plead guilty and get a $44 fine plus traffic school plus a $100 fine on the drug paraphernalia. You would pay that today and then go to traffic school so that you would not get the 6 points on your license. Is that what you understood? Okay, so you pay $178 today.
Despite the initial confusion, it seemed like Judge Stephanie Burke would release Boone with just a fine. However, a bailiff noticed a problem with Boone's courtroom attire.
Pull your pants up. Just how does it go?
After Boone refused to comply, the bailiff brought it to the judge's attention.
Why he's in there, he need to pull his pants up.
Your pants need to be up when you're in a courtroom.
They are up. I'm not.
Sir, up.
They're up. He's got the
That's
problem.
inappropriate. They need to be around your waist, not below your bottom.
Put your pants up. You've been this.
Not below your bottom.
I mean, that's my back. I don't see my basketball shorts. It's not even my boxers.
Boone remained adamant, forcing Judge Burke to assert her authority.
Do you understand that you're in a court?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you do what the judge says, and that is pull your pants up around your waist.
What do you want me to do?
Pull your pants up. If you have to tighten your belt, you're going to be an adult when you come to court. Do you understand?
Yes, but right now I'm trying to leave court.
You're going to stay a lot longer than you'd like if you don't pull your pants up.
Man, they hurt up. What do you want from me?
Have a seat.
Have a seat at your box.
Have a seat. Because I said so.
As punishment, Judge Burke gave Boone time to reflect on his actions.
I instructed you to pull your pants up on a number of occasions and gave you the opportunity to do that. Instead, you wanted to argue about it and act a fool. When I put you in that box, that was to give you a few moments so that I could discuss that with you privately at the end of this docket.
But rather than agreeing to the judge's decision, the defiant defendant decided to escalate the situation by removing his pants completely.
By removing your pants, it was extremely poor judgment.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Why?
Because you don't know how to act.
They couldn't be high enough for you, so I took them off.
Bailiffs took him into custody. Boone voiced a major concern.
What about my pants stuff?
Did you get them?
There's a Gucci down on there. I don't care what you got on there.
You'll get your property.
After spending 2 nights in jail, Boone apologized to Judge Burke and was subsequently released from prison. While Austin Boone learned a tough lesson for his stubbornness, what happens when a judge rebukes the prosecutor?
Will you take him up for perjury?
He admitted it was a mistake, Your Honor.
No, but he lied. He lied on a sworn citation.
Next, we head to the Seminole County Circuit Court in Sanford, Florida, where a trial has just reached its conclusion. 46-year-old Licette Gonzalez was convicted of driving under the influence. However, her attorney argued that Gonzalez was never given a breathalyzer or a blood test, and the arresting officer, Michael Wagner, had wrongfully recorded that she had tested above the legal limit in his official report.
Your Honor, not enough evidence presented for the jury to find the verdict that they did. They didn't do all the field sobriety examinations that should have been done. I respectfully ask that this court grant the judgment notwithstanding the verdict.
All right. This isn't a purely circumstantial case. And so I'm going to deny the motion for JOA.
After Judge Fred Schott granted the motion to overturn the jury's verdict, he moved on to a separate case related to the same defendant.
Now, we have this other case for driving while license suspended.
Gonzalez also faced additional charges after Officer Wagner's mistake had left her without a valid driver's license.
I want to be enlightened.
It was a mistake, admittedly, by Michael Wagner.
I know.
Testified to that today.
He caused her to have her driver's license suspended for at least a few months for nothing.
The outraged judge then turned his attention toward prosecutor Diana Myers.
So are you going to no pross that case, or am I going to get mad at you today?
Perhaps you can get mad at me, Your Honor, but at this
Why
point,
wouldn't you? Wait a minute. Did you hear the uncontroverted testimony of this officer? Will you take him up for perjury?
He admitted it was a mistake, Your Honor.
No, but he lied. He lied on a sworn citation.
Your Honor, and that is not true. For us to be able to respond to.
After dismissing Gonzalez's upcoming case, Judge Schott dropped another bombshell.
This whole case was fishy, and I have no idea how they... You know what?
Their address on file.
You know what?
The state intends to amend
I'm
the charge
granting.
and proceed on
I'm rescinding the sentence. I'm granting the JOA.
Judge Schott reversed his decision and acquitted the defendant on the spot.
So you're granting it because you don't agree with the state's decision on
I'm
the
granting
other
the JOA in fairness.
In fairness, because you don't like the state's decision today, Your Honor, on the case?
No, you're not. Now that I consider what Officer Wagner testified to and how many times he basically tripped over himself just to arrest this lady with no real probable cause. You're done. Motion to JOA is granted.
And you're not going to provide a written order on that?
Nope. You want to appeal me? Appeal me.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The case should have never been done. Never.
Thank you for letting us know that, Your Honor.
In the end, Licette Gonzalez's case was dropped, and she walked out of the courtroom free of all charges. While a prosecutor was reprimanded for providing false evidence, what happens when a judge reportedly throws the defendant out of court?
I have a constitutional right to press charges and you
music in the case of Alan McCarty, who was facing charges of making death threats to a judge in Daytona Beach, Florida. On September 29, 2017, the Volusia County Sheriff's Office received a disturbing phone call.
Communications, Warhurst.
Yeah, I want to report a crime that's about to happen.
What do you mean a crime that's about to happen?
Yeah, there's about to be a crime that's going to happen if my kids don't come back to me, you stupid. Because your stupid judges don't want to bring people to courtrooms. I got a gun pointed at your building.
Sir, what is going on?
Who the are you calling, sir, you stupid? Where's your judge warrant at? You gonna bring that out in handcuffs and I'm gonna execute that right in the street.
Okay, where are you at, sir?
Mother, I just told you I'm outside of her building waiting for her to get there in the morning. I'm gonna pop a tapping that you stupid.
The man was later identified as 35-year-old Alan McCarty Jr., who falsely accused Judge Stasio Warren of taking his children away in a child custody case. Months later, McCarty was in court to answer for his crimes. At his pretrial hearing, McCarty spent every moment in court with profanity-filled rants, so Judge Matt Foxman gave him a warning.
I'm going to tell you to be quiet, and you need to be quiet. There's not going to be a second time. If there's a second time, I'm going to duct tape.
But that seemed to trigger him even more.
I'm going to tell you, you just threatened my life to duct tape me. Did everybody just hear that? You just threatened to duct tape me? Really? In the courtroom, a judge just threatened to duct tape me.
No, I said
you just said, on record, you're going to duct tape me.
McCarty continued to disrupt the proceedings.
No, I refuse. No, I refuse. I refuse. He threatened to duct tape me. He threatened to duct tape me. I refuse.
I didn't threaten.
Yes, you did. You admitted it on the thing. I'm scared.
I said if you don't behave,
then you're going to duct tape me. I'm scared. Been removed from this room. The judge threatened my life. I'm scared. I want to be removed.
If you don't,
I would like to be removed from this room. The judge threatened my life, and I want to press charges. I want to be removed from this room. You threatened my life. I want to be removed. I'm in fear of you. I'm in fear of you right now, and I want to be removed.
See it.
I want to be removed. Thank you.
See you on Thursday for your trial.
Bring the dress. You look sweet.
Then, when his trial began, McCarty was back to his belligerent best.
No, I'm not under oath.
All right, raise your right hand. I'm going to swear you in.
You solemnly swear?
I'm not under oath.
Raise your right hand, please.
That's your bad finger. I didn't appreciate that.
I am not under oath. This is being done unconstitutionally. Y'all took my kids unrightfully. You won't allow my witnesses here. You won't allow my paperwork. Y'all took all my court paperwork. Quit wasting my time and bring them in.
Holly, make sure you take down what I say. He was sworn in.
No, I was not sworn in.
Yes.
I've never been sworn in this court. Bring the camera back. He's making this up.
He's representing.
He is making this up. I was never sworn in. I have not been sworn in at all. You're a liar.
Judge Foxman calmly asked McCarty if he wanted to be present in the courtroom.
Number one, I need to know whether or not you want to be here during the trial process.
No.
All right. Do you want to testify though?
No, I don't. This is all being done unconstitutionally, unrightfully. Y'all are you ain't allowing my evidence. You ain't allowing my people.
But the foul-mouthed defendant continued to insult the judge and his staff.
My dad owns the building and I look like a fucking idiot, huh? Brought your dress today, you little fucking prick. You wanna fucking take my kids from me and act like that? Fuck you and that fucking bitch. You lie over me? Is that what you're gonna do?
No.
Well then do it again, come on. Shut the fuck up. I'm trying to think over here.
Unsurprisingly, McCarty was removed from the court and sat in a separate room.
Other room. It's done. Yes, sir. Alan, we're going to run that through.
Motherfucker, take all my paperwork so I can't fucking show these people? You want to take all my paperwork from me? Lock me in a cell fucking naked all night?
However, that room was not soundproofed.
Mr. McCarty has chosen to voluntarily absent himself as opposed to doing other. Sorry, we got to deal with it, folks.
Eventually, McCarty was found guilty of threatening a sitting judge. The following month, McCarty returned for sentencing, showing no signs of remorse.
Here before the court, Mr. McCarty, to show cause why I should not hold you in contempt for behavior that you demonstrated during the jury trial. Number one, you threatened the unborn child of the prosecutor directly in an open
What a
court.
bunch of you stupid piece of
Then also,
You threatened my life, you
Needless to say, McCarty was once again sent to the back room.
Not resisting. I'm not resisting. I'm just not standing up. I'm not standing. I don't have to stand. I hope you fall on that baby's head, you stupid never threaten that bitch. Bring right back the shit, you stupid mother. Yeah, keep looking at me, boy.
Where he continued his profanity-filled rants from behind a mirror.
and additionally, because I know you can hear me in the back room.
Yeah, get the out of here. Don't you pull on me. Don't be around here. What you gonna do? You wanna get me? Get that out of here.
Ultimately, Alan McCarty Jr. was sentenced to 20 years in prison for his threats to kill a judge.
You're a bunch of here. No, you're not taking my fingerprints. I'm not gonna let you. That's right. Don't touch me, and don't never touch my kids. Give me my law paperwork.
While a defendant's explosive courtroom actions certainly didn't earn him any brownie points, how does it compare to flipping off a judge?
Did you say
Yes,
me?
actually, I
Did you say that?
Yes, sir. I did.
Oh, you did say that?
I'm not
I
gonna
find you in
lie.
direct criminal contempt.
Like in the case of Penelope Soto, who appeared in bond court on drug possession charges in Miami, Florida.
Morning, Soto. You're being charged with possession of Xanax. BARS. I don't know what that is. What is that?
Xanax bars, how they refer to it.
Xanax bars.
2 days earlier, Soto was arrested after she crashed her bike on Southwest Street while high on Xanax. Police also found 26 Xanax bars in her purse. Today, Soto appeared before Judge Jorge Rodriguez Chomat, still showing signs of intoxication as she giggled, touched her hair, and appeared to stagger. To determine her bail conditions, Soto was asked about her assets.
How much money are you making a week, approximately?
Approximately about $200 a week.
Okay, and do you own any property of value? A house, a car, bank account, significant amounts of jewelry?
Yes.
What do you own?
I own a lot of jewelry, all right, as well as
Go ahead.
a car.
Well, how much would you say your jewelry is worth?
However, Judge Chomat was not pleased with the defendant's attitude and issued a warning.
Well, it's not a joke, you know. We are not in a club now.
Okay, but it's, you know,
Hey, well,
kind
you
of,
see,
you know,
we
but
are not in a club. Be serious about it.
I'm serious about it.
You're
You
being
just
very.
made me
I can
laugh.
see you're serious, all right.
You just made me laugh. I apologize.
It's all right. How much is your jewelry worth?
While discussing the value of her jewelry, Soto even referenced Rick Ross, a rapper known to wear expensive bling.
It's worth a lot of money.
Like what?
Like Rick Ross.
Huh?
It's worth
Ma'am?
money.
Not making sense of her response, the judge asked Soto whether she was under the influence.
Have you had any kind of drugs in the last 24 hours?
Actually, no.
Actually, no.
Eventually, Soto's bond was set at $5,000.
I mean, what is the standard bond?
It's to be.
Ain't gonna be no PTS. It would be 5,000 per hour cost found. Bye-bye.
Adios.
However, Judge Chomat was not going to tolerate Soto's sassiness anymore.
Come back, ma'am. Come back. Come back. Give me the paper again.
The judge called her back and doubled Soto's bond to $10,000. This is when things got serious.
Count one would be 10,000.
Are you serious?
I am serious. Adios.
While leaving the stand in disgust, Soto cursed at the judge and showed him the finger. By now, Judge Chomat was done playing games.
Come back again. Come back again. Bring him back again.
What's up?
I believe I heard you saying to...
Yes, I did. I'm not going to.
I believe you... Did you say...
Yes, actually, I
Did you say that?
Yes, sir, I
Oh, you did say that? I find you in direct criminal contempt. 30 days in the county jail.
Soto was charged with contempt of court and sentenced to 30 days in jail. 4 days later, Soto was back in court, this time sober and apologetic.
Just the defendant herself would like to make a public apology to the court for her ill-advised, inconsiderate behavior at the time of the bond hearing.
My behavior was very irrational, and I apologize not only to the court and you, but to my family.
The judge saw the lighter side of it and revoked her sentence.
Don't cry. Just don't. Don't cry. I'm not a monster. I know, I make you laugh, but it's all right. Don't cry. I'm not a monster. Go ahead, tell me.
And I normally don't act like that. So...
Let me ask you a quick question. Did you use Xanax? Did you take any Xanax Sunday?
Yes, I did.
How many?
2.
2? Having listened to the testimony of Dr. Alfredo Hernandez, the administrator of Improving Life of Miami, about the impact that Xanax pills has on the human brain, and the apology that the defendant has made, I am going to vacate the judgment of contempt and also set aside, cancel, or end the remaining of your county jail sentence.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Good luck to you, Ms. Soto. I really do hope that you learn your lesson.
A year later, the rest of Soto's charges were also dropped after she successfully completed a court-ordered drug program. While Penelope Soto's courtroom actions could certainly be blamed on drug abuse, what happens when a defendant gives the judge a piece of his mind?
Look at me.
It's like eating. You ain't gotta scream at me.
Like in the case of Michael Gaines, who was in a Kansas courtroom for assaulting a police officer.
All the evidence shows that you deliberately.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I know.
The words were that you deliberately were hawking up.
Bullshit.
According to reports, Gaines, who was HIV positive, allegedly spat on an officer during a prison fight while incarcerated at the Sedgwick County Jail. Gaines was convicted on 2 counts of battery of a law enforcement officer. At his sentencing, Gaines faced District Judge Rebecca Pilshaw, where things went off to an explosive start.
You respect authority. You're not respecting my authority.
You're not respecting me, okay?
No,
Respect goes both ways. You're just a woman with a robe on. You a woman.
Do you really think it's appropriate to cuss here in court?
Do you think it's appropriate to sentence me under this racial program you got going here you call justice? Justice. Yeah, okay, justice.
Gaines claimed that he was being framed.
You're gonna believe those lies. That's what I'm talking about. I didn't hawk up no saliva. You gonna believe a lie because they wearing uniforms.
The judge tried to take control, but Gaines was just getting started.
Look at me.
It's like eating. You ain't gotta scream at me. You gonna raise your voice at me?
Oh my God.
You raise your voice to me, I raise my voice to you. You just in a row.
However, Gaines kept the worst for prosecutor Kevin O'Connor, who bore the brunt of his outburst.
I appreciate Mr. Gaines making my point for me.
You punk.
Very well received.
Maggot mother.
And I don't think I have to take insults from.
I know.
He's a tough guy now. But I think
you'll be a after I get sentenced.
I think Mr. Gaines has forfeited to me.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
Finally, the judge had enough and asked deputies to remove Gaines. However, the defendant still had some choice words left.
I'm talking. Take out of the courtroom.
He's a maggot.
Yeah, you're a tough guy.
He's a maggot, punk. You should have died. He's a baby. Yeah. Maggot.
Anytime, Mr. Gaines.
Shut up, huh?
Ultimately, Michael Gaines was sentenced to 13 years in prison for his troubles. While a defendant didn't pull any punches in the courtroom, how does it compare to getting into a screaming match with a judge?
Merry Christmas!
Like in the case of Darrel Brooks, who's facing mass murder charges in Waukesha, Wisconsin. On November 21st, 2021, 39-year-old Brooks drove a red SUV into the annual Waukesha Christmas parade. Onlookers caught the whole incident on camera. First, Brooks narrowly missed a little girl dancing by the side of the road. Then he plowed through a marching band, leaving multiple people dead or injured. His rampage continued as Brooks hit a group of pom-pom girls dancing in the parade.
Yeah, we in Wisconsin.
The SUV then sped away, leaving behind a scene of utter chaos and destruction. Eyewitnesses immediately called 911.
We got about 10 to 15 people down in the street. We also got multiple critical cases.
Some of the survivors later recounted the horrors which unfolded that day.
So many bodies in the road, and then I saw them start to pick them up, and they were little kids.
I literally saw roughly 10 people bounce off of that car, and you could hear thud, 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 thud as he drove through that, and you could hear it, which is a sound I'll never forget.
In the end, Brooks's rampage killed 6 people and injured 62 others. He was soon arrested from outside a house in Waukesha.
Hands up! Put your hands where I can see them! Put your hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Do it now! Hey, what is your name?
Brooks.
Brooks's trial was filled with bizarre incidents. First, he fired his lawyers and represented himself as a sovereign citizen.
Do you wish to represent yourself in this case?
Yes, I do.
Then he frequently disrupted court proceedings.
Effectively and with dignity preside over this case here today. I am well aware that's another interruption. I'm well aware. Stop talking.
First, Judge Jennifer Darrow gave him a warning.
Brooks, you're advised that continued interruptions will result in you forfeiting your right to be present in this courtroom, where you'll be taken to the courtroom next door to appear by video and audio means to participate.
From the courtroom.
That's another interruption.
But eventually she had enough and removed Brooks from the courtroom.
No,
yet again. All right, Mr. Brooks, you are now going to be removed to the other courtroom. I have had a dozen or more interruptions.
Throughout the trial, Brooks's outbursts continued.
And that's furthermore today. I'm not because that's a lie.
Let him finish.
At the end of the day,
Let him finish.
We're gonna open the door on that.
Brooks.
No, since he want to make a record and not be accurate, so let's be accurate on the record. Since you think you know so much.
Once
so
again,
we can
Mr.
open
Brooks
the door
is
on.
being
We can
loud,
open the door on how old she told me she was.
Interrupting.
We can ask that question
He is
to him.
over the top animated
Do you
right
know
now.
that?
Mr. Brooks, I'm ordering you to sit down and to let the state finish.
No, I'm not going to sit here and let somebody be inaccurate on the record and lie on the record.
Right. Under Illinois versus Allen, I've warned him repeatedly. He's being removed from the courtroom.
After an eventful trial, the jurors eventually reached a verdict.
Dated today's date, signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first-degree intentional homicide while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes.
During sentencing, the mother of the 8-year-old boy killed in the tragic incident addressed her son's killer.
You're a child killer. A woman killer. I cannot wait until somebody inflicts that harm on you.
Judge Darrow said the community would be safer with Brooks locked up in jail.
Frankly, Mr. Brooks, no one is safe from you. This community can only be safe if you are behind bars for the rest of your life. This court is imposing a life sentence without the possibility or eligibility for extended supervision consecutive to one another.
Ultimately, Brooks was served 6 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 762.5 years. While a defendant repeatedly fought with the judge, what happens when a judge loses his temper with an attorney?
Your appellate attorney asked to be here. Your appellate attorney asked to be here 20 minutes ago, and she is not here. Judge, but it now shows a blatant disrespect to this court.
Next, we head to the Bond Court in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where Judge Michael Davis is overseeing proceedings.
All right, Yanelle Morales.
32-year-old Yanelle Morales was facing charges of burglary with assault or battery after she broke into the home of a woman who was allegedly having an affair with her boyfriend. Before the judge made his ruling, Morales' public defender made a request off camera for his office's appellate attorney to be present.
I've contacted our appellate attorney that wants to be present and make arguments. They're
only available this afternoon. I'm just respectfully asking if the court could give us that courtesy for him to be present at 1:30 and make those arguments.
Judge Davis was getting impatient and wanted to get on with the business at hand.
All right. The public defender's office wants to make legal argument. They've got to be prepared to make legal argument. Docket starts at 8:30. It's now 9:45. All right. Ms. Morales.
Judge, can I just have one moment, please?
Sure.
After consulting with his colleagues, the public defender informed the judge that the other attorney was on her way.
How long?
A few minutes. She's on her way.
All right, we'll pass it.
However, 20 minutes passed and that attorney still did not show up.
The public defender's office is about a 2-minute walk away. Your colleague is not here. It's 20 minutes later. I'm going to call Miss Morales' case back. Yanelle Morales. All right. Good morning, Miss Morales. You're charged with a burglary with assault or battery. I'm going to find probable cause for that offense, ma'am.
Then, as the adamant public defender once again requested for the appellant attorney's presence, Judge Davis lost his cool.
I would like to have an appellate attorney here.
Your appellate attorney asked to be here. Your appellate attorney asked to be here 20 minutes ago, and she is not here.
Judge, but now...
It shows a blatant disrespect to this court. Don't you think, Mr. Saxaon?
No.
It's about a 2-minute walk from the public defender's office. Where is your colleague?
Judge, may I have just 1 minute?
Nope.
I would like to have a supervisor
You've had 20
present.
minutes, almost a half an hour. So can you explain to me why
Justin,
you are
I
now
want my office to be
yourself?
present here to make those arguments, Judge. I'm not sitting in an I'm not an appellate attorney, Judge.
Your office is here. You are here. I've given your office the courtesy to come down here. Your colleague has apparently hung you out to dry.
When the public defender could not provide a valid answer, Judge Davis was done waiting.
I'm asking you to explain this inconsistency.
Judge, what I'm saying to the court
I need
is
you to answer that question.
What I'm saying to the...
All right, we're all done then.
Without a proper defense by her side, Yanelle Morales was ultimately held without bond.
All right. State anything else? Ma'am, you're going to be held without bond at this time. Good luck. All right.
While a defendant went to jail because the public defender couldn't get his house in order, what happens when a judge throws the book at the jury?
You're off this jury. You're off this jury. Okay. You're removed. Go home. I don't like your attitude.
This is Jose Azucena, who was accused of inappropriate conduct by an adult with juvenile victims in Las Vegas, Nevada. According to reports, 64-year-old Azucena lured minor girls to his apartment with candy and committed lewd acts on them.
Jose Azucena was inappropriate with children in his apartment complex, that they knew him as David and that he offered them candy. In one case, the report indicates a victim says he took her into his apartment where he tied her up and taped her mouth shut before sexually assaulting her. Police say he also told victims he would harm or kill their parents if they told anyone.
He was arrested after one of the girls complained to her mother, and the case went to trial. Now, during jury selection, things were about to heat up as Azucena's attorney questioned a prospective juror.
Okay, so can you be fair to both sides?
I think I would be biased. I don't know how.
You didn't say that yesterday.
Well, I said I had other issues.
Listen, what we're not going to have in this jury is people coming in overnight and thinking up and trying to make up now so they can get out of the jury. That's not going to happen, all right? Right? Because if I find that someone said something yesterday under oath and changes it because they're trying to fabricate something to get out of serving on this jury, there's going to be repercussions.
Unsatisfied with her response, Judge Richard Scotti demanded an explanation.
What's going on here? Tell me what's going on.
I said I had other issues yesterday, and you said you'd get back to me.
All right, so why you got issues? Why can't you're saying that you can't be fair and impartial to both sides?
Then, shockingly, the disgusted judge threw what turned out to be a pocket version of the U.S. Constitution against the courtroom wall.
You're going to completely throw out our entire justice system because you don't want to be fair and impartial.
As tensions reached a boiling point, the attorneys present in court tried to intervene.
You don't want to be fair and impartial. You can't approach. You're not going to be fair and impartial.
Turns out the potential juror was a nurse who was sensitive to the details of the case.
Like I said, with my nursing history, and I've been involved with child abuse, and I've been involved with incest with young girls that delivered 13 years old. It makes me rather, biased.
Finally, the judge had enough and excused the nurse from jury duty.
You're off this jury. You're off this jury. You're removed.
Okay.
Go home. All right? I don't like your attitude.
Jose Azucena was ultimately convicted of all charges and sentenced to life in prison. However, his conviction was later overturned after the Nevada Supreme Court ruled that Judge Scotty's outburst had created an intimidating atmosphere that tainted the jury panel. Azucena was granted a retrial and a new judge. Even though Judge Scotty apologized for his actions, he later faced ethics charges courtesy of the Nevada Commission on Judicial Discipline. While distraught parents were denied justice due to a judge's rashness, how does it compare to throwing a defendant out of court?
Hopefully someday you'll think about that. Get him out of here. I'm done.
Like in the case of Stephon Roby, who was facing charges of double murder in Saginaw, Michigan.
This is one of the most egregious cases I've ever had. When you shoot and murder your mother, the woman that brought you into this world, and your sister.
A year earlier, Roby allegedly murdered his mother, Leigh King, and 11-year-old sister, Charlia, inside their Saginaw home. Police said King suffered 2 fatal gunshot wounds to the back of her head, while her daughter was shot 2 times in the face, before Roby dragged her body inside and shot her for a 3rd time. The 22-year-old was arrested and charged with 6 felony charges, including 2 counts of first-degree premeditated murder. Roby pled not guilty and represented himself at trial. He was also made to wear a stun vest after police found multiple shanks in his jail cell. During the trial, a friend of Charlia testified that Roby had threatened to kill the victims just days before the shootings. After Roby rested his case, the jurors took 30 minutes to reach a verdict.
Guilty of first-degree premeditated murder of Charlia Odessa King. Guilty of first-degree premeditated murder of Lee Angriest King.
At sentencing, Roby's grandmother took the stand and addressed her killer grandson.
My grandson, Stephon Roby, has been found guilty of being responsible for the deaths of 2 of the most vulnerable, non-threatening people in his life, his mother and his little sister. But in spite of his terrible crime, his mother would still want him to receive the mental health treatment that he so adamantly rejected in the past.
When Roby got a chance to apologize, he chose to complain and throw accusations at Judge Fred Borchard.
And I feel as though that most of my emotions didn't get past because you were distracted.
Well, that is totally untrue.
Well, when she was on the stand, your phone kept going off a couple of times and you kept asking her, was it her phone? When I came into the courtroom, I seen you on the phone.
Not while the court was in session.
Okay, but your phone was still going off and you were still distracted by the phone.
No, that is untrue. That is totally untrue. And that has nothing to do with the sentence.
Yes, it does have something to do with it.
Do you have anything you want to tell me in regards to this sentence?
Yes, I want to vote for mistrial because I don't
deny.
After denying his mistrial plea, Judge Borchard threw the defendant out of the courtroom.
This is one of the most egregious cases I've ever had. When you shoot and murder your mother, the woman that brought you into this world, and your sister, and you're going to spend the rest of your natural life in prison. Hopefully someday you'll think about that. Get him out of here. I'm done.
Ultimately, Stephon Roby was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for murdering his mother and sister. While a judge was accused of being distracted in court, how does it compare to cussing and flipping off a judge?
Pocketbook. I'm muting you for, all right, I'm going to count that.
Like in the case of Amanda Stiles and Ryan Parnell, who were at a civil court in Dallas, Texas for a child custody dispute. Today, the two appeared virtually before Judge Drew Ten Eyck. Parnell's attorney, Lacey Kimball, had filed several motions with the court, including a drug test for Stiles.
A custody evaluation was completed, and so we have filed a motion for drug screening and a motion for a psychological exam based upon that custody evaluation recommendations.
Blah, 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 blah.
However, things got off to a rocky start.
Blah, 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 blah.
Stop talking. You'll be able to respond in just a second. Ms. Kimball, you can go ahead and finish, and then Ms. Stiles, you'll have an opportunity to respond in just a minute.
Judge Eyck calmly handled the situation, and Kimball continued.
We also had sent discovery out as laid out in our motion sometime back. I had worked with Ms. Stiles' prior counsel and had agreed to 2 extensions. And then We ultimately never got a response, and she filed a motion for
She got plenty of responses. Objection.
What's your objection? Hold on, wait a second. Ms. Stiles, you just need to object and then let me know what your objection is. Don't yell at her.
Objection to hearsay.
Go with the drug screening part. Do you have an objection to taking a drug test?
I use marijuana daily, all day, every day. So we can either get there or not get there. Your choice tonight.
But Judge Ike had an issue with the way the defendant addressed him.
So I'm glad to take the drug test.
Stop.
Okay, it's going to be on his expense,
Stop.
but I'm
Stop. I'm pretty low key. We're in court.
fed up with Miss Kimball.
You need to be respectful. So
I'm fed
you can just, if you're going to use my last name, that's
Okay.
fine. Just say Judge Tenike. Okay, it's pretty easy. You use marijuana all day, every day.
Not really day, every day, but I use it daily, if that helps you with your interpretations. Mr. Low-Key Honorable Judge Tenike.
I'm not interpreting.
This time, Judge Ike ignored the diss and continued with proceedings.
What is your response to the request for a psychological evaluation?
Not doing it, and you cannot force me to do it. You cannot physically make me go and show up and partake in anything that I do not want to partake in. Yes or no? Do you agree or not agree?
You don't get to ask me questions right now. What's your response to their motion to compel?
Have you read their discovery? When are you going to view my videos?
Ma'am, you need to answer my question.
I answered your goddamn question.
By now, even the extremely patient judge had started to lose his cool.
So I'm going to warn you that it is completely inappropriate to swear like that in court. I'm not going to allow that. So if you do that again, I'm going to sanction you $100 for every time that you swear in court. Because that's not appropriate. You just need to not do it.
With that out of the way, Judge Ike tried to get things back on track.
In terms of their request for deposition dates, what's your response to that?
What dates?
Ms. Kimball, do you have proposed dates?
And whose expense? Mine? Because if it's mine, I'm not fucking doing it. Sanction, give me $100 fee. Woo, woo.
So I am finding you in direct contempt.
Okay. One fine.
Finding you $100.
Okay, make it 2. Damn. I said 2 words.
Ma'am, I don't think you want to do this. As I said, sanction you.
Please do.
Before ending the hearing, the judge tried to set a deposition date.
Which of those dates works better for you, Ms. Stiles?
What time? Dumbass. 3 contempts.
You're correct. That is 3.
Yep.
Supposed to start at 9 a.m.
What date?
Stiles, that question is to you. Never mind.
I said what time? Time, date? You know, these
I'm
things.
not gonna let you look. You don't get to do this.
This is when Stiles did the unthinkable.
Pocketbook. I'm muting you for. All right. I'm going to count that as another violation.
After Judge Ike reprimanded her, Stiles flipped off the judge and left the hearing.
I'm going to note for my own record that she opted out after.
Amanda Stiles was later charged with contempt of court and ordered to pay a $400 fine. While a judge was extremely patient with an unruly defendant, what happens when a defendant spits on the judge? Like in the case of 30-year-old Bass Webb, who's on trial for attempted murder in Paris, Kentucky. CCTV footage outside a Kentucky jail showed Webb, a former inmate who spent 3 months there, intentionally hitting 2 prison workers with his car. While one guy managed to dodge it, the other was not so lucky. Webb was arrested and produced before Judge Vanessa Dixon. Since she knew the 2 jail employees beforehand, Judge Dixon decided to recuse herself from the case.
No one ever tried this case. I have any further proceedings, or I have to see you for one further step.
But what Webb did next shocked everyone.
Set for the hearing next week.
In an act of defiance, Webb spat on Judge Dixon, clearly taking her by surprise. After initially dismissing him, Judge Dixon brought Webb back, charged him, and threw him out of her courtroom. Nevertheless, this is not the end of Webb's run-in with the law. While awaiting trial, Webb started a riot with other inmates inside the Fayette County Detention Center. Was shot with beanbag bullets and even hit in the neck with a pepper ball. In retaliation, Webb swung a metal telephone box at corrections officers. He was charged for his actions and sentenced to 15 years in prison.
I will accept the jury's recommendation of 5 years on count 1, enhanced to 15 years pursuant to the persistent felony offender of first degree.
Additionally, Webb was convicted of attempting to murder the 2 jail employees and was sentenced to 37 years, facing a total of 52 years of jail time. While serving his time in prison, new evidence came up linking Webb to the unsolved murder of his ex-girlfriend, Bria Runowitz. To escape the death penalty, Webb pleaded guilty and got an additional 50 years added to his current sentence. Now, if that wasn't enough, 5 years later, another cold case came to haunt Webb. This time, he was charged with the murder of another ex-girlfriend, Sabrina Vaughn. This time, Webb appeared in court with a sinister tattoo on his head. It had a murder hit list of all the people he intended to kill, including all judges, all prosecutors, all cops, the media, 3 rats that had been crossed out, and many more. Despite his threatening tattoos, Webb was convicted again.
You have found the defendant guilty of the offense of intentional murder.
Ultimately, Webb was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years.